Reading Rainbow.
Cut.
We got a two-parter today.
Two-parter, yes we do.
We got a jam-packed episode for you today. We got half games, half this little diddly guy named Sean. Great guy.
Sean Walker from Salt City FC.
He joins us later
and KSL.
What a good-looking guy.
He's a good dude.
Yeah, he very, very attractive. I don't know why he's not doing more on the video.
Yeah, get him on front page. Let's go.
Yeah, what are you waiting for, KSL?
But we'll get to Sean. But before we get to Sean, we want to get to the games.
Let's go. We had two games to talk about. The first one, RSL went to Diego Charaland, and they defeated
the Diego Charas.
Portland Timbers. 1-0.
Set up over there. You got it all ready.
Are you comfortable?
Comfortable over here.
All right. Yeah. Don't mind us. Don't mind us trying to do a podcast.
Yeah, right there.
And then they come home, and in a similar score, 1-0, they lose to FC Cincinnati. Make sure you get that FC in the front. It's not on the back.
Yeah, thanks for coming. That was a good podcast, guys. We hit it all in just those 3 minutes, and well done.
Oh, yeah, since we just started, I'm your host, Brad Goebel, joined by Brennan and Tyler. So,
and this is the Random Fan Podcast.
Yeah,
Good stuff.
I think this is the freestyle episode.
Freaking what?
I love it.
So,
back when I was beatboxing.
Stop it. Okay, so let's talk about these two games here. One little shift that I saw happen after the Dynamo, I think it was in the post game. They were talking about their passes, the angle of their passes. Trying to find different ways to be a little bit more dynamic. The Portland game was kind of this shift that we saw, where they're running the 4-2-2-2, which is incredibly unique for MLS. You don't really see that too often.
2-2-2, and the twos were in, and then the twos were out, and then the twos were
back
in again.
Yeah, it was nice.
Yeah, interesting.
And you do the hokey pokey.
But you have to really give it to RSL. Their passing was just a different level than we've seen all season.
It was like turf passing.
It was turf passing, but it was also so many like change of the field, balls through the center, possession through the center was really nice. Pivoting out, a lot of like the old school diamond passing for a sec, give and goes. They were far more dynamic in both these games. Like, you really got to give it up to the coaching staff and what the whole team has really hunkered down and done, especially without Emeka Eneli doing the full 90 in that pivot position. Pablo Ruiz was doing really, really well for for what we're expecting of him. I was telling you at the when we were watching Cincinnati, I still feel like he needs to just be heavier on the ball. He needs to possess it better, because he's a little too light-footed once he gets the ball.
Yeah, and that's what worried me about this game too, is because Caliscan tucked in at the other pivot.
Yes.
And I was worried that those two pivot-wise were going to have some my biggest worry was they would be boys among men, because on the other side you've got the veteran Diego Chara, and then you had Avila, and that dude's pretty good, but they kind of outplayed him, and Chara looked a little old, and I was like, good for you guys, way to go. Caliscan played well, again surprising me. I don't know why I'm surprised. He keeps playing well. And then Bodie Hidalgo went to right back and did a job as right back, as a secondary right back.
He did his job. His job, and I was very happy about that.
There were a couple times when I was like, oh, what is he doing? What is he doing? And he was pushing him to the middle, which, as a right back, you want to push him to the middle, but you want to make sure somebody's there to take him to, so you can go back to being right back. But I mean, I guess he did a sufficient job. There were a couple shots where I was like, if that guy was on his game, that would have been on frame, and that could have been trouble. But it all turned out well in the end.
Yeah, I was really, really surprised and pleased with Hidalgo. Trying to cut him some slack. I know I've been hard on him. He hasn't had a great season. He's got sent to the bench by Caliscan. And I've thought a lot about Caliscan, probably way too much, more than I should. But
wait, so how do you do that
Wake
when
up
you
in
when
the
you go to
morning,
lay down on your Cabral pillow? Like how does Caliscan get in your mind when you go to sleep?
He talks about distribution.
I have two. I have two giant.
Your
hugging
throw pillow. Yeah,
hugging
your-
pillows that we all get in there nice and snuggly. But I think we've talked a lot about Cabral really solidifying the defense. Get in there and snuggle.
Wow, if you're not watching on video, guys, you really need to see that on video. Check us out on YouTube.
Next time you guys say coochie coo.
I think Caliscan. I think he's the reason the defense is kind of turned around.
Well,
I think is a big.
We were
big
talking about
reason.
this. Well, I think it's the fact that Caliscan has shown more than one game that he's able to make stops. He's able to kind of be isolated by himself and
be a shutdown.
And that's and it's not necessarily that Caliscan has risen up. I think it's the fact that our center backs and our back line are starting to trust him based on his play. Because I think he's always had it. I mean, he's incredibly intelligent. You watch him, he understands hips, he understands like the rhythm of the dribble, and just gets
Timing, really
such good. And his position is night and day different from those first 2 games he got put on where he was kind of just listening to Gladden Cabral.
It kind of reminds me of a couple of right backs we had years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Brooks Lennon.
Oh yeah,
right,
that guy's-
where he would get and then he ended up being a freaking Aaron Herrera too. Kind of got turned around at right back for a little bit and then became a right back.
Yeah. I saw some highlights today to see Aaron Herrera get that second yellow in his game. He just kind of came in, swiped the leg late in the game, and then just kind of like headed for the
Sweep the leg, Johnny.
for the locker room, and he stopped and Torrey gave him a second yellow, and he just kind of waved on the way out. But
Yeah.
You see, Orozco gave up a penalty. Orozco,
Oh, yeah, St. Louis.
that was really bad.
that's why we let him go,
St.
guys.
Louis, yeah. He's no center back.
Yeah,
Sorry,
yeah,
St. Louis.
Yeah, he was just a red card machine.
Absolutely.
We knew it was coming. Although St. Louis did just sign him.
Oh, they did.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
just signed him.
Signed a full
that's good for
contract.
him,
Good for
man.
him, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, hopefully
job.
he's
He's
in a
talented kid.
great space. So we had a couple of players that were out of position or kind of out of position. Caliscan and Hidalgo, they both played well.
And then Junka slid outside, and he's played a lot of that outside. I like him better outside. And then Vera tucked inside on defense.
Yeah, you throw those in. I like the fact we've got 2 left backs. I don't know if they like it so much because you want to play every minute of every game as a professional athlete. But just a little bit of how they're so dynamically different, just a little bit,
And
between
it seems
Caliscan,
like they all get along well
Or-
as a unit, like Brennan was saying, right?
Catranis, and Junqua. They just bring
Yeah.
different things to the game. And it's so nice for RSL to have that.
Well, when you think about it, Junka is a little bit quicker, and he likes to send the ball farther back in the field. Do you know what I mean? Catranis likes to receive the ball farther up in the midfield and get it in the upper third and then make a play. And so it's kind of nice to throw off that back line because Junka really can change the field and get Gozo isolated a couple of times. And it's really nice because that makes it very hard for the teams we're playing.
Yeah, he likes to pass to the forward.
Yeah, and it's super nice because honestly, Catranis puts in a lot of miles. Like you see him track back and a bunch of trekking, and to have Junka come in and he can fill into that center back on the left side position if Vera gets hurt, and then he can go out to the outside. It really allows us to start thinking about forward up on the field rather than worrying about, oh crap, who's going to be defending and blah blah blah. Yeah, it's crazy because I think also Cabral has kind of started this. With Cabral starting this season, it's kind of been like, boom, solid, perfect, glad, solid, boom.
Solid. Glad has been solid.
And then the other pieces we were unsure of. I mean, Catranis was solid as well, but last year he was getting really gassed. And so now it was just like this domino effect of just like solid. And now we're just going to get this amazing number 9 and we're just going to be unstoppable. You know what I mean?
Well, and one of the things I loved about this game, the Portland game, was the amount of possession we had. We ended up with 56.2% 98% possession. We outshot them. We outshot on gold them. We total passed it 548 times to their 390. So we dominated the ball, and our passing accuracy was 88.3. And that wasn't just kicking it between Vera and Glad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We were going for it. We were getting aggressive with it. They came at us at multiple times and had a lot of crosses into the box, which we hadn't been great at defending. But in this game, we did a pretty dang good job of controlling that. Although our expected goals was only 0.8 and theirs was only 0.9, that keeping those low is kind of what our team will thrive in. Mm-hmm. Keeping low expected goals, not giving up a lot of amazing chances. And then fouls were pretty even, 10-9. We still ended up with 4 yellows and their 1 yellow, which Diego Chara probably deserved 3 yellows. I don't know. Just judging by his, beautiful smile.
Well, if you take both of these games into account, the refereeing on it, it feels like they're allowing more physicality in a negative space. Like, they're allowing chippy things to get other players aggravated, and they're allowing it to play on. And then they're giving out yellow cards for things that aren't really fully correct. I mean, isn't this the game that Caliscan totally got away with a freaking penalty?
Oh, yeah.
Dude.
Yeah.
Oh, my
that
gosh.
was, I don't know how.
The ref is standing right behind him. Literally right behind him, and he's giving him a shove in the back.
And so, yeah, as this game progressed, when Ari Lassiter came on, he started kind of doing stuff that we were not prepared for.
Yeah.
He was doing dangerous stuff. He was lobbing balls into the box.
He's got great service.
Yeah. I didn't realize
But he's
that
old,
was in his game.
apparently.
Well, he's like 30.
Yeah.
And he's played most of his career in MLS. And you're like, I thought he was more of a striker, but he was sending good balls in, dangerous stuff. He was probably their best attacking player at the end of the day.
I agree with that.
Yeah. And so, anyway, ball goes into the box. I thought Caliscan was just going to slow up. Mm-hmm. And at first, on the first angle, I was like, oh, he won that ball? Was that shoulder to shoulder? And then Dunny, I guess, on the broadcast was like, oh, he just biles through the back of him. I was like, oh, he really did. He just kind of, Lassiter turned his shoulder, and Caliscan just kind of hit him right in the back, and he went over, and the ref was like, that's baby stuff. Play on. And they played on, and nobody down in Frisco, Texas decided to take a look at it.
Yeah, it is a penalty, but they said it's just not clear and obvious, where it can't be just overturned in that space.
Because you can't tell the force of the...
Yeah, exactly.
You can't tell if he threw himself down or if Caliscan shoved him down.
But then if he did call it a penalty, there's no overturning. Yeah, there's no way.
No way they would overturn it.
I think it was a straight up penalty.
Oh, I do too.
I think just watching it, and you could tell that he wiped him out.
Yeah, in the soccer groove of it all, it felt like a penalty, and I was like, oh no, please don't be a penalty. And then it was play on, and I was like, woohoo, we got away with one.
Yeah, kind of the universe balancing out.
Yeah, that's what I was waiting for you to say, right? Yeah, right? From those crappy penalties we got early on in the season, maybe this is balancing out. Are we ready to talk about the goal?
Well, do we have anybody that can describe a goal for us?
Sub me in, coach.
Did you have something else before?
Did you want to do it, Brendan?
Didn't we say before the podcast we wanted to sum up the games, and now we're going into details?
Well, he really wants to describe. There's only 2 goals. Let him describe them.
Okay. You have the floor.
I mean, and there's only one in both games, so
that's true.
All right, so here's what happened. Ball gets played in. I think it was it Diego or Diogo? Anyway,
Diogo
played it into Puyol. Mm-hmm. Diogo played it into Puyol. Puyol did some really good hold-up work in this game. I think that's why he got the start in the next game. Mm-hmm. He has really soft feet compared to Agata. I think Agata's feet are more like bricks, and his are more like soft mops.
Agata, he reminds me
of Robbie Finley.
Yeah,
not
first
a good
touch
way.
Finley. Yeah,
Rhino.
Yeah. So Puyol takes a touch, and then he turns like he's preparing to shoot, which... Kids, if you're watching at home, this is a really good thing to practice, okay? Is prepare like you're going to shoot, even if it's going to end up being a fake. And what happened is he took his touch to the right, and the left defender stepped towards him. So Ari basically had both center backs, the left back, and the defensive mid all stepping towards him. There were 4 guys crowded around Ari Pule. And then he just laid the ball out wide. And honestly,
he laid it through. Yeah.
So that it was at a weird angle for the guys to try to track back and get to. And honestly, it could have been to Diogo, or it could have been to Gozo, who was a little further out, who could have come in and struck that either way. Either way, it was a great ball into a great place. Diogo did the give and go, took the touch, a little more on the second setup touch, and then smashed it. And wow, what a strike from RDP to win the game in Portland. We hadn't won in Portland in a while, and we do not have a very good record there.
2017, I think, was the last time we won there.
Yeah, so it was great to be able to have our DP put us on his shoulders and Ari to step in there, attract all those defenders to him and then lay it off to our DP who, man, that was a good strike.
Man, and he got it off the ground because he was almost the whole game. Everything was on the ground.
On the ground.
Everything he shot.
Well, and he's probably not used to playing on turf, right? It's probably not a super familiar surface.
He trains every week on turf.
No, they play outside most of the time, right?
They practice outside. I don't know if they might have practiced inside. We didn't make the practice to get used to the turf before the game.
Maybe, I guess. I guess there's the possibility of playing on turf a lot, I guess.
And I like the fact that it was high near post, beats the keeper.
Oh, and it was there in the previous shot he had too, and he missed it. So I'm glad that he fixed it the next time around and put it right where he knew Crepeau would not be.
And you kind of, if you look at the angle of it,
so Canadian.
It kind of sucks because the goalie does that weird jump thing where they're not fully jumping all the way up. Like they're just like, oh crap, and they just elevate and get off the ground and try to reach for it.
Yeah.
Instead of actually just jumping. And I always hate that. But also, Portland is in between 2 keepers right now. Yeah. They were kind of like in our situation with the McMath and Beavers a couple of seasons back.
Yep.
And that's got to suck for them, but that's kudos to us.
Yeah.
But thanks for choosing the wrong goalie,
Right. Good stuff.
I just think Cabral saves that.
Man.
Well, he had not. Well, yeah.
Because he had a big save in that game, too. I mean, they got kind of past him, and his right hand just literally blocked that whole ball.
But there's a couple, I heard somebody the other day when it was on the U.S. broadcast, they said this is the worst crop of U.S. keepers we've had in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And they were talking about Matt Freese not being very good. And then he went and won that penalty kick shootout, and they kind of stopped talking about it. But because he saved 3 of the 6 penalties, which is an amazing record. But, there really isn't. And Crepeau's Canadian anyway, but there's not, if you want an MLS contract, be a U.S.-based goalie that can really ball out like the Cincinnati keeper.
And I think it's interesting that with the keepers, a lot of the good keepers, there was Slonina in Chicago. They keep getting picked up and head on over to England. Same with But
then they sit on the bench.
Yeah, what's his name?
And they're not really
the other number
Matt
one.
Turner.
Matt Turner, yeah.
Yeah.
He's just kind of sitting on the bench, rotting away wherever he's playing.
No, he just got a new contract, so hopefully he'll win the starting job there and be prepped for the World Cup. And hopefully Matt Freese will keep playing well. And, our buddy over in Colorado, we can't name him because he's on the Rapids. No one on the Rapids has a name.
Oh, he had a brilliant play against Seattle. Did you see that?
Mm-mm.
So the ball goes. He races out to the right corner, right by the corner, right near the corner, and then he's beating the Seattle guy, and so he clears it back to the middle of the field.
Oh boy!
It ends up at the foot of Rusnak, about 45 yards out. And Rusnak just, boom, right into the goal. Wow. He who shall not be named.
I remember seeing that.
He's
running back.
Trying to get back to the goal.
And he's nowhere near it.
Nowhere near it. And Seattle went up 3-0, and then Colorado scored 3 goals to end the game 3-3. It was a goal fest there. So RSL gets the 1-0 victory in Portland. Kind of surprising. Like I mentioned, this month has kind of turned. Mm-hmm. I'm surprised to say it kind of has turned for the season for Real Salt Lake. And maybe, even though we lost this next game, these 2 games, maybe we look back at the end of the season and say, hey, you know what? That's when they figured some stuff out, and the season went in the direction, and we make the playoffs and hustle on down to the MLS Cup like Brendan predicted.
Well, no. So what I really wanted to say about this is if you take these 2 games, you got Portland where we stole 3 points, and then we got Cincinnati where we lost 3 points. We actually played at a higher level and were just far more effective against Cincinnati. And they're a much bigger team. Like, it is an incredible improvement from just Portland to freaking Cincinnati. Piol, like his hold-up play like you were mentioning before, that is something brand new that the coaching staff came up with like 2 weeks ago. And he's absorbed that so well, and it worked so well, especially up that left side. Katranis was able to do a lot, and also I loved how like mean he was. Like, he threw a ball at that dude. That was fantastic. I love how angry he gets, dude, because he's just like, he's like, don't do dumb things or else I'm gonna get mad at you, and it's all well deserved, and I appreciate it.
Yeah.
But I have to say, like, my one negative for this last game, the Cincinnati game, has got to be Diego Luna.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, it's not a good thing to say, and but I felt like watching him, his ego caused us a lot of bad decisions. Keeping the ball far too long, not giving it going. I mean, Diogo was open quite a bit. Gozo was open quite a bit. Every time he got in the top of the box, he kind of played with it a little too much. And instead of sending it back, because he went to the left side, he tried to dribble it around. He got dispossessed 3 or 4 times when he could have done a back run and like sent the ball in.
And even when he did his bicycle kick, Johnny Russell was open back post.
Yeah, and that was an unnecessary one.
Oh, yeah, that was a terrible decision. And it was a weak bike kick. And I don't want to... Diego Luna is the best player on the team.
No. Yeah, he's fantastic. But I think this one game...
In attacking mode.
His ego got to him. I didn't like it.
I think so.
I don't disagree. I think Diego, maybe I had too high of expectations for him when he returned from the U.S. men's national team, where he's expected to be a playmaker.
Yeah.
And I expect to see him be a playmaker, and I think he's in between two minds of, I need to score the goals because nobody else can score, whereas I need to set people up so we can score some more goals.
Which played into what happened in Portland, where Diego Luna kind of made a run down the left, and they scored without him. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah.
Piol held it up, give it right back to our DP, who scored. So, I mean, I don't know that they're not playing well together, because there were a lot of chances in the Cincinnati game. The stats on that one, though, really similar to the stats in Portland. We had 56.3% of the possession. We had 17 shots. They had 15. 7 shots on goal. A lot of them were blocked, though. Our passing, 554. Passing accuracy was 89%. Very, very similar. So we still dominated. Our expected goals were at 1, and their expected goals were only 0.7, but we still didn't score. So.
Yeah, and I know, it wasn't just Diego.
No.
Everybody was making the wrong
Diogo
choice.
Did that too, right?
Diogo had just as many, and I was really disappointed.
Random topo.
Diogo had the biggest chance to score. He was off by maybe a foot. He put himself in some pretty clever places.
Correct.
And the backing of Ruiz in this game was really, really imperative, because he was crossing 2-3 lines, sending the ball straight through the middle.
Yeah.
And getting to Piol, and his vision was on a different level this game.
But
he still gave up the ball a couple times, though.
That's what still worries me with him, and there were a couple times when I was like, and
also,
so when we did make that sub late in the game, I was like, I think that was needed.
We were talking about it. Cincinnati is really, really good.
Yes,
and they reminded, watching them, it really reminded me of the San Diego game, where San Diego they were on another level when it comes to recognition, and passing. Like, they didn't mess around. They just turned.
Counter, yeah.
They just turned, and they had some line-breaking passes that were just like, holy cow, where their back line, their backs were cutting through the RSL midfield, hitting their front line, and they were off to the races. That was really impressive. RSL got better as the game went.
Yes.
I think, like in the second half, Junka had some fine passes, and I think in the second half, Cincinnati was better in the first than they were in the second. Surprisingly, I thought RSL played better in the second half than they did in the first. Even though it was a fun game to watch. It was back and forth, some great defensive plays, and some last minute defending. Some nice toe pokes out there. We're talking about Caliscan, who's very good at watching those players and not getting set up. So,
and dude, that guy that played center mid for them,
27?
Brian Onunga, number 27.
Yeah, he was all over.
He was a big bad man,
and he was part of the grief. He was part of the chippiness. Like,
I was so surprised.
I thought we were. I mean, he's a big dude.
Yeah,
right. Well, he's listed at 5'11", 180, but in soccer, that's a big dude.
I was surprised at how chippy the Cincinnati game was and how chippy the Portland game
was.
Corey
Baird.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Corey Baird went sliding in, got a yellow card pretty early on.
Oh, well-deserved. That was an obvious yellow. Oh, my gosh.
Right? I was like,
Lunchbox.
ooh. And then everybody started yelling at him.
I wish
Corey Baird.
Yeah, I wish my nickname for him would take off, Lunchbox.
What is it for again?
Remember, he just looks like that little kid, that annoying little kid that shows up with his little metal lunchbox, and it's just annoying. Because he's got that baby face.
Yeah, and honestly, Cincinnati was not good until they took him off.
Yeah, Baird.
Yeah. Oh, he wasn't he the one where they had the little miscue, and he did have a one-on-one with the keeper, I think.
Yeah.
He did.
Oh, didn't he get underneath it?
He had a couple of times where he had opportunities to score, and I'm so glad he didn't. He's not one of my favorite. I'm sure he's a great guy.
Yeah.
He's just not one of my favorite former RSL players.
And he didn't really leave on awesome terms.
No.
You know, he kind of thought he was making it, and then kind of
he won the Rookie of the Year, and then it looked like it went to his head, and he got some U.S. men's national team call-ups, and
then he never got back.
No, didn't get back to that. But anyway. Cincinnati does have a player I absolutely love, and I would have loved to have seen him on RSL this season.
Really?
Kai Kamara.
Dude, man.
Yeah, he came on in the 63rd. They made that switch, and it's the classic. I hate that this worked. It's the classic, you're coming to altitude, put in your rough and tumble players to run the first 62 minutes of the game, and then bring on Orejano, who's a DP level player, Yedlin, who's a former national team player, and Kai Kamara, who is the leading scorer all time in MLS. You sub those three in the 63rd minute, and the game changes. And it did. It changed not really for the better with those guys, and I don't think Agata did himself any favors there, coming in for Puyol in the 62nd minute. I thought the team calmed down a little bit with Anelli on the ball for Ruiz.
Oh, when Anelli came in, though, the offense took off.
Yeah.
He just immediately turned and went forward, and there was some great play. It lasted about 15 minutes, maybe. Well, and then I think it lasted. When did he sub in?
60
seconds. Yeah, I think it went to about 10 minutes, and then I think Cincinnati kind of figured it out, and it kind of slowed down. But he was a spark coming in.
Well, see, that's the hard part, though, is when he starts moving the ball up like that and we're getting heavy attack, it puts a lot of weight on our back line. And our back line had been handling chippiness and getting dispossessed. Like, they put in a lot of work. And then to try to be that aggressive at the end, like those last, 20 minutes before they scored, you saw that, like, with Agata in, he got dispossessed at the times where it was beneficial for Cincinnati, instead of being dispossessed and we're still behind the ball.
Yeah, and that's what you worry about when you don't have Puyol in there. He's a little softer-footed. We already mentioned that.
Yeah, and he's good at the hold-up.
And, you get Yedlin and Orejano in there, and now you got these outside wing-backs that are just blasting up and down the sidelines. And, a lot of times they're not accounted for on the defense. And even though that play worked out where Caliscan shut him down and he passed it back and Orellano just hit it, and it tucked right inside that post. If we're going to lose on a goal, I think I've said this before.
Quality goal.
Lose on a goal like that where it's just a banger and there's not really anything you can do about it. You know what I mean?
Especially a left to right bend. You know what I mean?
And people are like, "Oh, Cabral was out of position." I was like, "No, he wasn't,
dude. He was perfectly in there.
He covered every inch he could have on that play, and it still went in. So the goal's a big place."
I was thinking about it during the game, and I was like, "Man, I would much rather. I'd hate to lose." But I'd much rather see him push this as far as they can. And I thought it was one of the best games RSL's played all season.
I agree with that. I think the outcome's not there, but we played so well.
And we love a game that is that fun, right? There's a little bit of everything. I would have loved to see 2 goals, right? And I was hanging out with my little kids, and I was talking to them about it, and I was like, look, I would love to see us score first and then them get an equalizer rather than, 0-0. But, at least then you have the thrill of victory, the agony of defeat. It's all wrapped up there for you. But, yeah.
And it was a great goal. Nothing, you can't take anything away from him. Any other thoughts?
Would like to take some stuff away from him. Put him on our
also,
team.
too, 3 points puts them at the top of the supporter show. They're the best team in the league at the moment if you're looking at points.
Correct. And they're real good. And we shut down probably the league. Well, he's not Messi, but he's the next, I don't know, whatever. He's one of the best players in the league, Evander, right?
What was Portland thinking getting rid of that guy?
Well, I don't think they really wanted to. I think he wanted to
go. There was
go.
a pay discrepancy.
And so he's making more money in Cincinnati, and they paid good money to Portland for him.
Yeah,
so.
Portland wasn't paying him the yearly salary they agreed on, so he wanted out.
RSL, I thought RSL's defense played really well against him. He wasn't out there, taking it easy on us.
No. And we do that so well against these top teams. Like, you really, all the people that say they hate Pablo, you have to give it to him. We know how to play the best teams in the league. We are not.
We're up for it.
We're up for it, and we're competitive. We steal points, and we look like a good team.
The problem is that historically, even under other teams, but sometimes with Pablo, they tend to play down to the competition, and that
hasn't happened yet.
That's the flip side.
That's the flip side of good teams. Good teams don't play down to the competition.
Dude, I could do a whole episode on how great Pablo is.
Okay, well,
maybe
that's. I'm way too tired tonight.
That's okay. Yeah, we're probably too tired. And I could go on and on about Cabral, and because he's hug, you snuggle, snuggle. So 2 interesting games. I thought RSL played well in both of them. I've thought about that since the Cincinnati game, and I think RSL is just a couple of strikers away. I think the back line. I think the back line is solidified. They're not world beaters. They're not, but they have come together. The defense has come together, and they're not, like I said, they're not. None of them are pushing for the All-Star game, that's for sure. But they're solid players, and they're even better
together
as a group.
Yeah.
And we wouldn't even be talking about the defense if we had somebody that could score goals.
Yeah.
So if we have a solid striker, whoever they're signing in this window, will they pop up and they be here? If they are, they have to be better. Agata and Piol, I like them both. Piol's
in the right direction.
Piol's in the right direction. I think Agata. I think he needs to be he needs to be like the 3rd or 4th option on a better team. I don't know that he's a guy that is going to take you anywhere at the moment. I mean, he scored a lot of goals at home for Kansas City, but he needs to be that guy that comes in to switch up a game, wreck up a game. I just don't know that he's the guy that's going to carry you. And if we do, I think we do need more than one. Whether that's a straight up number 9 and maybe another winger, supposedly somebody that gets in there. If we had 2 people that could score goals on top of Diogo and Diego, however long Diego is going to be here,
Gozo, you got to give it to Gozo. Yeah,
absolutely Gozo. I think there's, and maybe Mark Chuk will figure it out. I think there is some good things there, but I don't think we'd be talking about the defense. I mean, I would love to see him improve. That doesn't mean they shouldn't. We could use a third center back.
Yeah.
Somebody to push both.
Because Quinton's good, but we need a true center back.
Yeah, I would like to see.
What's not true about Quinton?
Well, Quinton is turning into kind of a Swiss Army knife.
Yeah.
He's turning into that, like, he's the sixth man of the basketball team. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, he's the backup to Glad, who's kind of on our field team, the Iron Man.
I'm thinking for the center back, 28, 29-year-old guy that's going to give you 3 or 4 years. And you've got Henry and you've got Farnsworth, who started against the Monarchs, and you've got Quinton, those young guys. We don't have another guy that's in that. And Vera was always only like 24, 25, somewhere in there. Just another solid center back that you can count on. And then they're a great example for the young guys coming up. I think that's what I think.
Well, you also got to think, too, I mean, the pivot situation. We're getting, because Palacios on loan. We don't know if he's going to come back because we're giving up for another international spot. But you have Ojeda that had yellow card accumulation. You got Pablo Ruiz that, we don't know if he's
actually played really well.
He has.
Especially the last 3 or 4 games where we've went on a winning streak.
So give me this. Would you rather have Ojeda and Anelli?
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, it's Emeka Anelli's not a full 100% yet, but then also there's a chance he's going to be out for the U.S. because he's so great. Then you got, Ojeda that can get into yellow card because the pivots get a lot of action.
Yeah.
They're going to get a lot of yellows. I feel like we need to have another pivot or somebody that can do the pivot but also be aggressive at the same time to back up a 10 or something like that.
Interesting.
But
Yeah, there's just a few spots, but I think
definitely striker though.
definitely striker.
Striker.
I think we
number 1 and 1A. In my opinion.
2 strikers this season, and then you work on building out the rest in the off season.
Sure.
But 2 strikers might be what it takes to get them over the hump there and get a playoff spot, which I think would be pretty amazing. And then from there, who knows?
Yeah, I'm good with 1 striker, but a real good one. Real good. Got to be real good.
So that's our thoughts on the last 2 games of victory in Portland and the so sad loss against Cincinnati, which was a better team.
But it was a good game, too. We played really well.
Respectful game.
Try not to be too down on that one because it was a good game.
And then to add to that tonight, we're going to have Sean Walker. We talked about that. So watch that. We have a great interview with Sean Walker from Salt City FC and also KSL. And he's a great writer. And turns out he's kind of funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of.
Very attractive. I don't know if we've mentioned that enough.
Seriously.
Very attractive.
You're going to see him on Love
Handsome.
Island SLC. You know what I mean? He's
Yeah.
Love
God, man, he's a tall drink of water.
Yeah. Yep. So thanks for listening. Follow us on social medias. Do us a favor and subscribe to YouTube. We really need your help there. And wherever you get your podcasts, we thank you so much for joining us. Special guest, Sean Walker from Salt City FC, which is a great newsletter and podcast and all kinds of other things. Right, Sean?
Sean, you're a writer too, right?
I try to pretend I'm a writer, but I dabble a little bit in podcasting like you guys do. We do some videos every now and then. I just barely did one of a highlight video, that was fun. I'm definitely not like a Nick Tyler Gibbons or anything like that, but yeah, we dabble with some stuff. We dabble.
Nice. Well, how did you start? Like, where did this kind of all come from? What's Sean's origin story?
Oh, my origin story. Well, so
Soccer.
Oh, sorry.
Of course, soccer.
Soccer.
Soccer. Yeah. So it all started on a planet called Krypton, and environmental disasters were destroying it. So my parents put me in a pot. No, I'm just kidding. If you guys haven't seen the new James Gunn Superman movie, by the way, I highly recommend it. You get one reference, guys. That one's
okay. Was it good?
Guys.
It was worth it.
Yeah.
Oh man, I don't know. I saw that dang dog, and I'm just like, oh. So
Oh, crypto was entirely worth it. Like, trust me, it's
Okay.
great. Oh, it's so good. It's so good.
I'll trust it because I saw the preview. I thought, oh man, why can't he have a cat?
Oh boy, come on, man. That's the last thing we need is a super cat. Seriously?
Yeah. How many super cats do you know, B? Like, come on.
We need one. Let's start one. DC, Marvel, first
No,
one. Oh, Marvel has one. Marvel's got a cat. Took
Make it stop.
Scarlett Johansson.
Sean, go ahead.
Took that guy's eye.
It's a flirkin, dude. That's a flirkin.
Oh yeah, that's right.
congratulations. We're less than 5 minutes into this pod, and I've already successfully derailed it for you guys. So.
Well, we didn't want to get too deep into your origin story because we didn't know where you were going with it.
Yeah, exactly. No, so I've been covering sports on the Wasatch professionally for about 10 years now. My first RSL match, actually, ironically, was before I started back about a year or two before they went. That would have been what, 07, 08. But I went to the Coast in New York, and then I worked for about 4.5, 5 years in Las Vegas for a while. Don't worry, Mammoth fans. That was pre-Golden Knights era. I don't even think the Las Vegas Lights existed back then. And I thought I was gone for good from my home state, the state where I grew up, Utah. And it turns out layoffs happen in the newspaper business and a bunch of other things like that. And so I went back to my home state, thinking it was only going to be about like a 1, maybe 2 year kind of stopgap until I found my next job. And my next job, it turned out, it started with KSL News Radio in Salt Lake City. This was about 2014, I think it was 2014 or 2015. I can't remember. And then I moved over to the website, to KSL.com, started writing there. Covered a little bit of everything. I've covered the Jazz, covered RSL. I do a lot of college sports now, BYU, Utah State sometimes. So I do a little bit of everything over there as a writer professionally. And then RSL has been in my blood since about 07, 08, somewhere in there. And it never like fully left me. And so I just started doing little things on the hashtag internet, posting little memes and quick highlight hits, and mostly stealing other people's content at first. And grow a little bit of like a grassroots platform to try to promote soccer in the state of Utah, and that includes RSL, that includes Utah Royals, Monarchs, college soccer, grassroots club soccer around here.
Yeah, even that more recent article I just read about you that you wrote about is it a semi-pro women's team that Utah United?
Yeah, Utah United that just won the USLW League Championship. So I've been with them.
Like breaking news. Yeah,
I've been with them since they started that program. Which I say that like it was a long time. It was literally January, which maybe makes winning the league title that much more impressive, right?
Exactly.
I just kind of piddle around the soccer world there in addition to my day job, running up and down the Wasatch Front and trying to figure things out with college sports and some other professional sports and that kind of thing. But that's mostly it. I started as a writer. I'm mostly a writer, but I'm not a professional podcaster like you guys are by any means. I have.
About time we got recognized.
Yeah.
Oh, seriously, man. Thank you.
So much better.
Thank you.
Nope, we're not.
I don't know. I was at the riot a couple weeks ago when I have no idea who this was. So maybe it was a long lost brother or another son or something like that. But somebody actually went up to Brant, and I believe they asked you for your autograph.
No.
Wow. Big time, huh, Brant?
They weren't asking for autographs, but they did say something about, hey, you're that guy with that podcast, right? I think that was roughly the conversation there.
Nice. Getting recognized. No, I've been recognized at least 3 times as a podcaster. At least 3.
Hey, you know what? That's 3 more than me.
So I always like to ask this question because I find it interesting. Is like, are you a soccer fan?
I am. I am. I came into the soccer world a little bit differently than a lot of people. I didn't really play much when I was a kid. My youth soccer experience lasted until about the U9 U10 days. I played like with Pee Wee soccer and stuff, but never
Yeah.
anywhere near competitively. I was never good enough for a travel squad or anything like that, and I fell off of it for several years of my teen years. But I am a millennial. Maybe I should or shouldn't be admitting to that. And I specifically, I call myself part of the '99 generation, the group of young people that we came of age right around the millennium, which included the 1999 Women's World Cup. So one of my lasting childhood memories is watching that final of USA China in the Rose Bowl, going to penalty kicks. Brandy Chastain converts the winning PK. The sports bra scene around the world, all that stuff, and that was kind of the moment that I was really hooked, that I became really hooked on the sport. So my gateway drug, if you will, to the world of soccer, was the U.S. women's national team, and for a while, soccer to me was always soccer and men's soccer, which is, I know, a little bit backwards from a lot of people. It's soccer and then women's soccer. You always put the modifier before women's soccer, right, and not men's soccer. I was backwards for a while. Don't worry, I've been converted to the men's game. Don't worry, guys. Like, I'm not saying anything against like the men's game or the women's game. Um, but I do like both. I appreciate the nuances and the intricacies of both. And I've got favorite teams or teams that I follow more than one or the other in multiple leagues, men's and women's. But my real start kind of came because of that group of 99ers from the U.S. women's national team back in the World Cup.
Yeah, that's one of Brant's favorite things is that you can have multiple teams in multiple leagues around the world, and you don't have to pick just one team and be just into them. As you can see by his Crawley Town jersey, if you're on video, he's got what is this, a new one?
No, this is last year.
Last year, so you got the red with red, red on red.
This year's.
Oh boy! All right, I got the
Brad,
old
can I
school
flip this
t-shirt.
around on you? Have you ever shared publicly your introduction to Crawley Town? Because I've always wanted to ask you that, and I wanted to see if you would give the story up. You passed on it one day at one of the games a couple weeks back, and I've just been very interested to know ever since then.
You can watch probably 75% of our podcasts, dude. 75%. If we interview anybody, it'll come up and be like, "Well, this is actually how I became a fan." Probably, well, Sean's visiting my
Sean's a real
sister.
journalist. He's asking the questions.
Yeah, sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead. It's great. I'm gonna just drink my drink. Drink my
Let's do
drink.
an in-depth.
Dude, in depth. We got so much time. We don't need to know Sean.
No, I'll tell you. I love the story because
Just briefly. Go ahead, just briefly.
I'll do it quickly.
Thank
2016, we went on a family vacation. We had everybody there except for somebody who came a little later.
I had to work.
He had to work. He thought he had to work. Turns out, not so much. Huh?
Yeah, the owner ended up not showing up, so that was great.
Yeah. So we pick a game. I don't have a Premier League team. Brennan is Man U. My younger son Sam is
Arsenal.
like Tyler. So
That's
and my
okay.
wife's Tom. Yeah. But anyway, so we didn't have we looked at trying to go to a Premier League game, just like $1,000, right, to get in for the family. Without, you know what? I want a legitimate EFL experience. So we picked like the closest club around us, and it just happened to be Crawley. They're in League Two, so still in the EFL. So we go to the game. I told my wife, I said, because I tried to have a Premier League, tried to pick one, but I'm a convert to soccer, and I just could not find one. I tried to pick one like Norwich or Burnley or Barnsley or one of the clubs that went up, and then they just turned around, went down, just never hooked. And then so we go to Crawley, and I tell my wife, whoever wins this game is going to be my club. I'm going to watch them go all the way to the championship.
And who'd they play?
They played Luton Town.
Luton Town, who actually made it to the Premier League. That's the team. Wow.
Immediately after.
Story's so great. But at halftime, I'm like, I don't care. Crawley Town's my club. It's 5,000 seat stadium. it's just a glorious little um, blue collar. Reminds me of Magna. Crowley has to be like the Magna of ink.
The mining town.
Yeah, just
Yeah,
very
just
blue
the
collar.
blue collar.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
we ended up winning 2-0, and then they did beat Luton Town, who then progressed up to the Premier League and is now back in League One.
Oh yeah, they
And
got demoted twice in a row. Huh?
and
Yeah.
Did they get promoted the same year though? Like the same year you watched, they got promoted into League One.
no, I think they waited
It was
a year
the
or two
next year.
before
Oh,
they
yeah.
put it
And
in.
they just skyrocketed up.
So I actually, my daughter lives in Cheltenham, and so we've been over there several times to go see them and get to some Crawley Town games. So, yeah, and it's a really small club. It's very reminiscent of Real Salt Lake. Like I'm friends with, well, he doesn't know that we're best friends, but we are best friends with the guy that calls the games, and
Yeah, he's been on the podcast a couple times.
I've met just some great people. They're real friendly. Like every time I go over there, they've comped us tickets and stuff. So just a fun little club, and they did get promoted. Kicking myself, we did not get tickets when they went to Wembley because they may never be there again. First time they've ever played at Wembley.
Hey, at least you bought the flag, and that's
I
what's
got the
hanging
flag.
back here. So
And I made Brendan breakfast. We came over at 6 a.m. and watched them get
Yeah.
promoted. So yeah, that's as quick as I can tell you why I like Crawley.
I actually really like that story because one of the things that I tried to evangelize around the pseudo, I call it just a brand. That's all it really is, Salt City FC, because it's kind of gone back and forth between do I want to write? Is it a podcast? It's more on social media now. So the thing I've tried to evangelize is hashtag support Utah soccer and support local soccer. I'm all about like supporting the local game, kind of where you're at, because there's so much, even in the United States, where soccer is, the fifth or sixth sport for most Americans, and it's still relatively young and it's still growing. Like there's still something everywhere. If you don't have an MLS club, there's a good chance you have a USL club nearby. Maybe it's League One or League Two or something like that. These smaller franchises, and a lot of them deserve or are worthy of our respect and kind of the same promotion as a lot of those big time clubs, the ones at the highest level, the ones at the top divisions, and that kind of thing. So I actually really like hearing that story, Brent, that you had with Crawley Town, because it's that local grassroots club. They play in a smaller stadium, but they still have stories. They still have players that come through here and create these magical moments on the weekends that fans can really get attracted to, and just they still represent these communities, which I think is something that's really cool about the beautiful game, right? It's just how it represents the communities, the villages, the hamlets, the cities, the states where they reside in a lot of ways. And it's, that I think sometimes you can lose a little bit of that with like the Manchester Uniteds, the Real Madrids, even like the Spartak Moscows of the world. And I'm not calling any of you guys out for, being fans of bigger clubs. I'm not calling out any of those fans or those teams, but they get to be so big sometimes that they lose a little bit of that like community feel to them, or they can. And I think that's a really important spirit to kind of keep and maybe recapture at times when you're talking about a club and sort of its brand identity, I guess.
Crawley Town ended up, since we're talking about Crawley Town.
Dude, come on, short version. He said short version. Sean, who's your favorite player, man?
Oh, wait a second. This is breaking news. So there was a tie to Utah with Crawley Town because their chairman and one of the owners was Preston Johnson, who went to BYU and the University of Utah. So they had American owners. He's since stepped down this week and no longer involved. So there was a Utah tie, and also smaller clubs. Crawley Town just signed another USL player from Orange County SC.
Yeah,
But anyway,
in other breaking news, Brent, that's how Brent and I met. Brent was the head of West United, and I started a competition club out on the west side, and we kind of started playing nice together because they weren't playing nice before. We became friends and helped coach and promote together some soccer out on the west side for the youth. So
Yeah.
And I play tennis. And you want to know the story behind me playing tennis? Since we're just gonna go about doing this now, Sean. Hi, how you doing, brother?
back to Sean.
Are you more of an Alcaraz fan or a Yannick fan?
Oh, see,
See, now I can really derail this if you want, because I'm Team
Yeah,
Carlos Alcaraz.
I can go down a big rabbit hole. But anyways,
Yeah.
Shawnee boy.
We won't derail anything more there. I promise. That'll be the last tennis comment that I make.
Thank you. Appreciate it. I should have wore a different shirt. So who is your teams? Because you said you have multiple teams. Who under the radar do you like?
Yeah. So I have a hard time fanning anymore really these days. Like I support my alma mater from college, and so I follow all things Syracuse. And that's kind of my college club. And when it comes to men's and women's soccer and lacrosse in particular, that's kind of my main thing. So I follow my alma mater a decent amount. When I was getting into the Premier League, they had this young American goalkeeper that they just barely signed. So I was naturally navigating towards Yanks abroad, and so it's really because of Tim Howard that I call myself an Everton fan, or was an Everton supporter at one point. I don't know. I'm not a very good fan, I'll fully admit, like I'm a terrible fan. I'll call myself out for it, but I followed the Basque teams over in La Liga a decent amount, mostly Real Sociedad. Um, that was kind of my sort of launching point, I guess, internationally, and then just a couple of
Nice.
other teams here and there.
Basque
For the most part.
region.
Yeah.
Didn't see that coming. Nice.
Banyak Euskaraz, Pishka bat Hardy Nice. I learned a little bit of Basque when I was in college, so that was kind of my introduction there. I've never really had an American soccer team. I don't know. Maybe you guys can like help me choose one because I've never really felt like I could fan out over Real Salt Lake, even though Utah is my home state. I like the
Ooh,
people
why
around
is
the club
that?
and the organization and everything like that, but I've never really had like an MLS team, for that matter, just because of work and media obligations, and sometimes that makes watching games really difficult for a while. Sort of the same thing with the USL, um, and some of the lower divisions as well. Um, I think, but yeah, like I mean, I don't know. Maybe you guys can kind of project something on me if you see like this is kind of the type of person that you are. Maybe you would be a good fan of X MLS team because I'm totally open to a lot of those
Yeah.
suggestions. I really am. Like,
Before before we had a team, I was a Colorado Rapids fan and a Columbus Crew fan because I figured I had to have an Eastern Conference team too, and
that's
not just
yeah.
take the home team. But then Real Salt Lake came and I kind of dropped that. But Columbus is a fun team to watch. They play very attractive soccer. And if you're not a Messi fan, that's, if you just like good soccer, because, Messi, right? Hard to beat that, but
Ronaldo does really well though.
not in
So,
MLS. So.
who do you think is better, Ronaldo or Messi?
I'll plead the fifth on that one. I don't want to
Oh,
start any like internet wars. Like, come on now. They're two different types of players. Like I hate this debate, the Messi versus Ronaldo debate. I don't like it because like Messi so Leo Messi, as far as I'm concerned, is the second greatest player of all time. Um, behind well, obviously Pele, right? And and so it's but like I can't always say it's Messi over Ronaldo necessarily because there are just some things athletically that Cristiano Ronaldo does that I don't think anybody in the modern era of world football can really compete with. Like he really might be
That's
the best athlete, all around athlete in the game. It's incredible, and to look like him at his age, by the way, he does not have a face for radio like me. Um,
It's a
unless
good-looking
we're talking about
man.
his bust or his statue. But that's another thing I won't derail any longer. Um,
It happens
but
to
yeah, so like
Dwayne.
that's such a tough debate for me because I'm like the skill and the precision and the shot making of Messi, like you can't argue with that. But at the same time, there's this overall speed and athleticism of Ronaldo that I'm like, if we could take both and put them together, well, actually, if we did that, we'd probably have another Pele. So I'm like, maybe that's probably the real answer right there, right? May forever rest in peace.
Nice.
And then if you're looking for a team, did you see Boise? They're big into the Basque culture up there. They have the
That's
Basque
true.
Center.
And they just
And
barely
they
launched a
have
USL League One team, AC Boise.
yeah,
So shout out to our friends over there.
yeah. So there you go. There's a shot for you.
Wow.
The
Didn't know
Basque
that.
tie-in.
The Basque tie into the
Yeah.
Boise. What's their mascot?
I
They have
don't,
a mascot?
I don't
For
know.
AC
The
Boise,
Boise Staters?
I
They like
think they're gonna lean into the Eagles. Their crest has a lightning bolt, and then it like morphs into the shape of an eagle. So I think
Okay.
they're probably gonna wind up going there, but I have
Like
no idea. They're,
Ravenclaw or something like that.
Yeah,
What
yeah,
it
Ravens.
is.
yeah, it's
I
a little
like
bit it's a little Ravenclaw like. It's
One of
that's
those,
true.
the blue one.
No, they have a single A baseball team up there that I think is the Red Hawks or something like that as well.
Hmm.
So my only club.
Wow, that's great.
Oh
So-
yeah, the Boise Hawks. Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on RSL so far this season? You've been around a long time. What are your thoughts?
What are my thoughts? Well, are you prepared to lose a whole bunch of listeners right now?
Why is that?
I'm actually not upset with this team. I think this team has been performing pretty consistently with the overall talent and expectations that they had kind of since the preseason, and therefore, and I feel like, and this is maybe going to be my hottest take that I'll make on your podcast, and a lot of RSL fans, I can tell by my Twitter timeline especially, certainly disagree with me. I think Pablo Mastroeni's a good coach. I think he's a really good coach. And I don't think, like I said, maybe that's a hot take. Maybe I'm totally wrong in believing that. But I think a guy like Pablo, yeah, he can be a little bit esoteric and maybe even sometimes borderline eccentric at times with some things. I'm still trying to get Trey Fitzgerald, their head of PR, to get Pablo to sit down every week for a podcast called Pablo's Book Club, where he just literally talks about what he's reading. Like it's fascinating. Sometimes he'll just go off on it in press conferences or like post training availability, that kind of thing.
Yeah, we'll
But
just
like,
have to call Maddie.
yeah,
We'll figure it out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we'll get it
like
all
it's-
sorted. We have a couple of books lined up too.
Shout out,
I mean,
Maddie.
it's
Yeah.
so I think what Paulo's been able to do with this team and with this club is maybe a little bit underappreciated, but it's certainly been really good. And to have a group with one of the lowest payrolls in Major League Soccer, they're in the lower third, I think, according to the MLSPA, which I could go off on some of those projections, but I won't. Regardless, they don't have these massive, big, large market, big money payrolls. And yet they're right around that playoff line. They're in the middle of the Western Conference. They're fighting for a postseason berth. And they just do it with, to pull a reference, I guess, from Brand's favorite team, with sort of that blue collar, dig in, work ethic, team is the star type of mentality. I think this is a little bit of a different mentality from like the Kyle Beckerman, Javier Morales, Nick Romando team is the star days, but they still have a little bit of that same workman-like ethic. And I think it just sort of fits where the club is and who they represent, the Salt Lake Valley, the state of Utah. Utahns love workers. And this is an RSL team that seems to really love to work. And that's why I think even when results weren't always going their way, recent 7-game winless skid, they still managed to capture the fans who then appreciated the recent 5-game unbeaten run that they went on because they still had that same workmanlike ethos, that same kind of just dogged, determined style that I even think you saw a little bit over the weekend with that 1-0 loss to FC Cincinnati. Again, a Cincinnati team that probably at the end of the day has maybe more talent than RSL, certainly more payroll. And yet this is a group that was right in there with them until the very end, an absolute screamer in the 86th minute, yada, yada, yada. We won't rehash that because I know none of your listeners actually want to go through that. But I feel like this RSL team has done a really good job of sort of just keeping its own brand and keeping the brand of who they represent to the point where I'm actually not as down on the Salt Lake side as what it feels like there is a lot of kind of that perception from certain corners of the internet, which I definitely need to
That guy,
avoid.
that guy right there. I mean, this guy is a Pablo one-man hater.
That's
Just
true.
full on. You remember watching Deadpool 3 when Chris Evans talking behind the back of whatever word was it?
Oh yeah.
The one guy, he's like, I never said that. Called her that, and then it cuts to the end, and there he is talking about how terrible she is. Yeah, that's totally this guy, man.
No.
This guy doesn't want anything to do with Pops. You know what I mean?
True.
In fact, on the back of his jersey it says Pablo out. You just can't see it.
Hashtag. Gotta get the hashtag.
Oh, sorry.
That's
Hashtag.
No,
That's right.
I've
Just
heard on Pablo, but Brennan and I were talking after the game Saturday about how this is Pablo's best season that he's been here. And I think that I have been
I
impressed.
don't totally disagree with you, by the way. I don't totally disagree.
I've been really impressed with how this club has stuck together. They found Noel Caliscan out of nowhere. That right back we go on and on about the right back, but Noel has taken that job and solidified the back line, and the defense is carrying this team. But I have to agree. I think Pablo, this has been his best season, and I appreciate him more this season than before because I still don't know if he's like a transformative or coach, so to speak, as much as he's a rah-rah, get the universe, X-Dog, all of that, and whether or not he's can take a step up to actually be a coach that a Bruce Arena or something along those lines are all the famous ones, Pat, but Jurgen, where, they can sustain a club for a nice 4 or 5 year run if they invest. But I think he's a solid coach, and I've appreciated what he's done this year.
Well, and I don't know if he's like the coach that will develop players from here to here, like talent wise, but he will give them opportunities, which we've seen, and he will allow them to win that spot by working hard, which translates into the community and the club and what we all want to see as fans to a large extent.
Right. And if it doesn't work, like I think even Utahns in general, and I think RSL fans by extension, hopefully, again, correct me if I'm totally wrong with this, but I think even when a team doesn't succeed, if they go out there and they're working towards something and fans can tell that they're working towards something, I think we as Utahns appreciate that even in failures. And I've seen that, I've seen that with multiple clubs and teams and organizations in the state. Like I see it with the Jazz right now, where the Jazz have never won an NBA title, but when fans can tell they're working towards something and trying to get better, then when they ultimately fall short, which they've done literally every year since they moved to Salt Lake City, there's not like this immediate well, that was a waste of a season kind of a thing. There have been wastes of season. We won't go too far into that with the Jazz, but you see that as well with a lot of the local college teams. If you're a Utah football fan, that we're basically describing Kyle Whittingham's entire program right now. I think BYU football is getting to be the same way. Utah State is kind of that team in the Mountain West right now as well. You can see, you just sort of see the culture of the state represented in a lot of these teams right now, and I think that's kind of how you have to build around here, whether you're playing professional soccer or college football or, semi-professional rugby, whatever it is. I think that's kind of how you have to build a sports team in the state of Utah.
Yeah, how was the semi-professional rugby? Did they kind of reflect that too? That hard-nosed, because they won it, right? They won the.
Yeah, I mean the Utah Warriors were definitely an example of that as well. They went out and they spent a bunch of money on a bunch of internationals to sort of bring them in, but they used kind of what they were doing to go out and get guys who were grinders in other leagues, who were grinders back in New Zealand and Japan, a couple of them, Ireland, France, one. They kind of did that same thing, and they brought guys here who were just willing to dig in and embrace a little bit of a workman-like mentality, and they were able to go from a 5-11 team 2 years ago and completely flip the script to 11-5 Western Conference winners. They were about this close to making it to the MLR final this year, and they did it with a lot of sort of that same workman-like ethos. Even if a lot of, most of their team, probably 2/3 of their team, wasn't actually from the Wasatch Front, and yet somehow they still kind of embraced those Utah values that they were able to put together, I think.
And
Yeah,
I think
I'm also a little bit of a side hustler for rugby in this state. Like I said, I don't want to get too far off on non-soccer tangents anymore. Unless you want to, I mean, we can go back to tennis. That's fine.
No, don't do it, dude. Don't do it.
No, I enjoy rugby, and we talk about the officiating all the time. And my goal would be to see soccer refs treated with the same respect that rugby refs officials get treated with.
Except in
That's-
MLR. MLR officiating is trash. The league
No,
can't
it
actually
doesn't-
find me for saying that, so I'll say that here. And this, I feel like this is a safe space. MLR officiating is not good.
Oh, it's a safe space for anything, man. You can swear, you can cuss, you can do whatever you want, man.
Well, it's not that it can be crappy reffing, but you should show them respect. That's the part I like. They're not going to get all the calls right, but there's a lot more respect for officials in rugby than there is in soccer and a lot of other sports.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I mean, I guess while we're on the topic of officiating, I think it's the official often makes themselves, his or herself, a really easy target in a lot of sports that I think is kind of unfair for most fans, because the reality is like the referee in any sport is only there to regulate rules as they see them. And that doesn't mean they're going to see everything, and that doesn't mean they're going to always be right on everything, but they can only call what they see. And I don't know if, I mean, to your point, I don't know if that's, we expect perfection out of them a lot of times, but we also don't give them the leeway to try to be perfect either. So yeah, I could go
I just
on
like
and
to
on
make
about
up
officiating.
stories about what the ref is thinking and then run with that, like, oh, here's what they were thinking, and I have no idea at all. That's part of what I like to do, just project random stories upon the refs.
We
So
did start this to
on
talk
my
about
radio
refs.
show, actually earlier today on my radio show, this was totally non-soccer related. We were talking with a college basketball referee, and he brought this up, and I totally agree with him that I think what would be really good for officiating for fans, to kind of mend sort of some of the fences between fans and referees in any sport, is if we could humanize them a little more. Like, can you imagine if you could take, let's take a notorious RSL hated official in MLS. If you could take Alan
don't
Chapman, I know RSL fans hate Alan Chapman, but like if you put him in front of a media microphone after a game or maybe before a game even, and like the media were allowed to kind of pepper him with a couple of questions here and there, and like some things, we're asked not to go into, and he's allowed to no comment out of things and whatever. But like maybe we could get, his vantage point or get to know him a little bit. He likes to call games this way, or he tends to see things this way.
Yeah.
Like I think being able to humanize an official would actually help us to respect them a little bit more, because we would start seeing them not as automatons and robots that are, just there. I am here to call rules and that is it. But we would see them as people and fellow humans, and maybe give them a little bit more of that respect, like you were going at in a lot of ways. Like,
Yeah. In fact, Alan did come on our podcast. It's been 10 episodes back or so.
Oh,
So
start of
if you want to look it up, start of the season. Yeah.
oh, was it at the
Chapman
very
came
start?
on.
Okay, I'm gonna have to go find that one because I did
I
not
have a
see
friend
that
of
one
a
in my
friend,
research.
cousin that knows him. He's a cool guy. Off the air, he was super cool. On the air, he got a little more tight-lipped, would you say?
Yeah, it wasn't very good. We got a lot of amazing stuff once we stopped recording.
Yeah, it was like we stopped it, and then he got really human, and we connected on a much deeper level. But yeah,
So-
I think if we could get more of that out there, then
Right.
it would humanize him, and he's got a wife and a family, and all that kind of stuff. He's a normal guy that
Yeah.
has to go grocery shopping during the week. You know what I mean? Stuff like that.
And,
Yeah,
So
he
and
did say-
I think I understand some of the concerns with why like leagues don't always want to humanize officials too much, because there are some fans that might take this and go find where a ref lives and threaten their family and that kind of thing. And like I
Right.
don't want to go anywhere near that. And so I'll try to be a little bit careful, but because like I believe Alan now lives in Utah,
Yeah,
somewhere in
he
the
does.
state. I won't say where. I have ideas and theories, and I may or may not have
Lives by
heard
my
where. But I'll
cousin.
just say I believe he lives somewhere in Utah, right?
yeah, let's not giving him up. He does live with my cousin, but nobody knows which cousin. So
Yeah, exactly.
I only have 30. So
But yeah,
well.
so he does live in the state of Utah, and I know that because he covered, this was a couple years ago. I was covering a BYU women's soccer match, and Alan Chapman showed up. He was the head official in this match.
Oh,
And I
nice.
was like, didn't I just barely see you? Like you're one of like you're he had like some high ranking position with MLS Pro,
With
right
pro,
back
yeah.
then. And he was reffing this. It was a WCC women's soccer match. He was there, like he showed up 45 minutes early, like a lot of refs doing. I saw him like warming up and stretching, doing the usual pregame calisthenics. And I talked to him a little bit when I saw him. I was like, "You're Alan Chapman, right?" And we got to know each other, and he was, I'll just totally back you up, exactly that way, like light, jovial, a little bit sarcastic, knew how to make a
Yeah.
joke, knew when to get serious as well. Because then when I saw, as soon as the whistle blew, it was just totally
Yep.
different. He went into
Stoic.
ref mode. He had a
Uh-huh.
job to do. This is the rule. This isn't the rule. Like this is what I'll let you get away with. This I won't. All of that. And then
Yeah.
when he kind of took off the referee armband, if you will, he was just a regular guy. Had his family.
Good dude. Yeah.
Yeah,
Can't remember if it was
cracking a
in.
lot of jokes, like all of that good stuff. And that's the side that I kind of wish we could see out of officials a little bit more. Is like some of that.
Like, yeah, I can't remember if it was in the interview or after, where he's talking about if he had one call he'd get back.
Oh, yeah.
And he was the ref in the Kansas City RSL preseason game. He was that ref, and
Where they brawled.
he says if I had to do it over again, I would do that game over. He would call that game a little different. So
Yeah.
that was the one. I can't remember if that was in the podcast or not, but he shared it with us. But yeah. So one last question, Sean. We appreciate you taking the time, and this has been awesome. Hope to have you on again. You got
No, this
that.
has been great. Hopefully, I haven't bored your listeners yet. Sometimes I
No,
tend to drone on and
fascinating.
on. So if you,
No,
if you
no.
lose any subscribers, it's my fault. Blame me, not these guys. They're the pros here, not me.
So my last question is: you're in charge of Real Salt Lake. What do you do to get them into the playoffs and uh, winning the MLS Cup this year or next year? All right, because Brendan picked him to win it this year. You still got hope.
Still got a good chance.
Yeah, you know what? Hey, they're only. I mean,
No?
as of right now, they're only 1 point outside of the playoffs. Like,
And they played
Bruh.
the team right in front of them. They
You
should-
you gotta give it to them. These last 3 games are showing what they're capable of, and they're not
Yeah.
even at full strength. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like
absolutely.
they're
And I think that's actually kind of the biggest point is like this is a club that kind of needs to keep doing what it's doing in a lot of ways because I think for the most part it's working. And I do feel like this was a good offseason for them. I know it's really easy to see all of the departures, the Andres Gomez, the Chicho Arangos, all of them. And what BY or what RSL lost. Sorry, I'm getting all my teams confused because I covered too many of them. What Utah lost, what the Jazz lost. No, hold on, sorry, no. Um, it's easy to see like what RSL lost and what they quote unquote didn't replace or didn't reinvest or that kind of thing. I think there are still holes in this team, but what I don't think they lost was their sense of identity. And you're starting to see that identity really start to sort of cement itself a little bit more. And it's doing so around a couple of legitimate stars. This is Diego Luna's team. And I think this team is going to go as far as Diego Luna will take it. And are there pieces that, there's fortunately a summer transfer window coming up. So I think most of those steps are pretty obvious. This club needs a true number nine, a just can I say balls to the wall on the show?
Sure.
Like just a
Yep.
go for it, run through the wall, center forward, if you will, to kind of take up a lot of that space. They've got guys that are pretty good in there, but during this 5 match unbeaten run, fans started to see a little bit more out of Diogo Gonçalves and sort of what he was capable of. And a lot of what Diogo was doing wasn't in that high target center forward type role. You saw him withdraw a little bit. Like Diego's a very close off guy, so he's never told me this, but I think you can see that he really likes playing with somebody in front of him. Right now, it's been William Agata or Xavier Goso, who have both, I think, been very good. But can you imagine like a multi-million-dollar type striker, somebody who is capable of scoring double-digit goals in a high-level league in Europe, playing in front of Diogo with Diego Luna coming off and whoever you need on the right, whether it's Dominic Marchuk or Lockie Brook or anybody on that right side. really. Like, if you had that kind of a setup, I think this team could do some serious damage in MLS. Right now, they're starting to do some damage, and I think they're doing as much damage as they can with the personnel that they have. That if you just give them a couple more tweaks, you really don't need to upgrade that many positions right now. A little bit more center back depth would probably be kind of nice if you really wanted to go there. But like I feel like goalkeeping has gotten immensely better with Rafa Cabral in back. Rafa's been an absolute revelation. You've got one of the most, maybe the most. I'll even say it if you want a hot take. I'll call him the most underrated pivot midfielder in the league in Emeka Eneli. MLS is just barely starting to catch on right there with him. You know, you have other midfield pieces that are starting to come together as well. I mentioned obviously Diego. He's going to be a star. Appreciate him now while you can, RSL fans. I don't think he's here for much longer. I really don't. But yeah, so like if you just fill in a couple of roles, then, you know, target number 9 striker being one of them, I think this is a team that really can compete with some of the best in MLS. Like, are they going to go and win the league right away? I don't know. But I don't think they're as far off as maybe some pessimistic fans think they are.
Well said, man.
Sounds good.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, any last questions for me?
Yeah, thanks for your hot takes, man. Thanks for coming on. We really appreciate
And they
it.
weren't very hot, though. I mean, it wasn't too spicy. You know, next time
I know
we should
I
go-
need to be. I've been told that actually on my radio show a lot that I need to be a little bit spicier. I tend to tone a lot of things down, and I guess I like my sports like I like my politics, which are soft and moderate.
I love it.
Probably again is another reason why I live in the wrong state of the state of Utah. But I won't go any further down that rabbit hole because nobody wants to hear any political takes.
Hey, you and Chicho can go get a massage together, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we did.
We do have a couple plans for that coming up this weekend. What were you guys saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, we want to. If we could just get the supporter section to, I don't know, what was the 34th and the 69th minute to come up with a happy endings cheer. That would be awesome. Happy endings,
Yeah.
You know,
something like that.
something like that. Something that really tells Chicho we kind of hate you now because of what you did and the way you kind of screwed up this team. Because if he were here, there's that target number 9 striker that can just knock balls in and run through walls, you know?
That's hard to say. That's
he
really
was-
hard to say because
he was
we
doing it.
wouldn't be in the position we're in with him. We would still be kind of running that old tactics, and right now we're really jiving.
Chicho Arango, I will say this about Chicho. Despite how it ended and everything that was wrong, and I know there's some rumors out there, and I don't want to speak to what's rumor, what's reality, and all of that. Chicho's one of my favorite interviews that I've ever done in the soccer space. He's probably up there top 5 or top 6. It was all in
He's a
Spanish.
lot of fun. Yeah.
Unfortunately, it was one of those rare podcasts that I actually did do with him because when he first got to RSL, he was open to doing any and every media, including some random know nothing podcaster who mostly covers college sports professionally, like myself. But he wanted to do them all in Spanish. And I served a church mission in Venezuela, so I still, hablo un poquito de español.
Ándale.
And so they agreed to kind of set me up, and we sat down in an office in the RSL training facility, and I was only going to be there for like 10 or 15 minutes, and we ended up going like 45 minutes where we just talked about life and why he wanted to come back to MLS, and he brought up a bit how he hated Mexico.
Nice.
Not the country, but like the league. He didn't like
Right.
MX
Of course. No, not the country. Just the soccer that's played there and the people who play that soccer there.
Yeah,
I know I sound racist when I talk about Mexican soccer,
I
but
got the feeling that he didn't have a very good experience down in Liga MX, and that was a big part of why he wanted to come back to the States and to MLS and basically wherever he could get it. He wanted to stay with LAFC. I think he's been pretty open about that. He wanted to stay with the LAFC. LAFC didn't want to pay him, yada, yada. We won't rehash all of that. And so he went into a whole bunch of that stuff, all in Spanish. He was, really comfortable, but he was open and he was honest. And he called me out a couple of times because I said something like probably assuming too much. And he's like, no, that wasn't the case at all, which I also respect when somebody's willing to just come out to some random reporter and just say like, no, that's not true one bit. Like, we are wrong in the media. We're wrong at least as often as we're right, probably, right? Like that's why fans tune in. They want to hear the takes, and they want to hear takes that are like every fan will remember your wrong take way more than they'll remember any of your right takes. And so they're paying attention more to find out when you're wrong. I'm perfectly fine being wrong if you'll tell me why I'm wrong, and so that I can kind of correct and figure out what's right.
Exactly.
Jason Kreis was really good at doing that. He had a couple of just moments post game with reporters that, man, you asked bad questions tonight. Really bad questions. Still my ringtone. But if you can do that, then like absolutely, by all means, like I will be the idiot so that you can explain why I'm wrong or what is actually right. And there are a bunch of players and a bunch of coaches that do that really well. And Chicho actually did that really well during his interview. So I know how things went down. I know how fans feel about him. I don't think he was perfect by any means. He certainly made plenty of mistakes, especially during the end of that tenure. Again, not trying to distinguish between what's fact and what's rumor. But
Or right and wrong. But
I guess going back a little bit, I'll wrap it up there with a little bit what we were saying about referees. Like, it's important to remember that we're all human, professional athletes that we idolize, officials, professional podcasters like you guys, random writers on the internet like me, occasional tweeters every now and then. Like, we're all human. We all make mistakes. We're all imperfect. And I think it's okay if we give each other that grace of imperfection, if you will, as long as we're all just kind of striving to be better.
Well said.
well, that dude.
Yeah, we'll end it there.
Man, you
That's
must write.
beautiful. Wow,
Something.
just-
Jeez, man. Do you write?
Yeah,
do you
that's
have
beautiful.
like an online writing?
Mostly I just tweet. I don't actually
Okay,
write.
okay,
Mostly I
now.
just tweet.
Yeah.
Well, we can't thank you enough for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you at the game.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me, guys. Really do appreciate it.